everyone. Here we are, episode 2. Wow, who would have thunk it? Welcome to Between Two Coaches. We're on a mission to make fitness more human, snark, sold separately.
Hi, everybody, and I'm Coach Nick. Thank you, Coach Amanda. And today we have a great episode for you. I'm super excited. We're going to talk about things we do in our wellness routine and fitness routine that might surprise you. We're going to answer some questions. We're going to go through a little grievance we have. But first, I'm going to rant about my coffee maker.
I was going to say,
Amanda,
you have more than one grievance.
I have a ton today. And so I was ready to get some coffee to get all ready for this podcast, even though it's the middle of the afternoon. And set up my AeroPress and forgot to put the little filter in. And when I went to pour the water in, all the coffee went everywhere. And that's very sad to me. So it's just a bunch of coffee grinds all over my counter. So I don't have any coffee, but I do have this lovely Olipop, which I'll be drinking throughout the episode.
I'm so glad that you found a replacement. Maybe they could sponsor us.
That
I like
would
Olipop.
It's the best. I mean, this classic grape is literally like grape soda. So, yes, sponsor us. Thanks.
Our pitch. Love you, mean it. So wait, pause on this because I think that my coffee machine is just like a normal I just have a Mr. Coffee maker. Is it an AeroPress?
Oh no, it's an AeroPress. So it's the air. Well, you put like the coffee grinds in, you put water in, you press down, it presses out perfect coffee. And it's amazing. And that's the way I do my quick coffee because I got an espresso maker to make my espressos with my latte art and my espresso martinis.
The extra just got more extra. Okay.
Coffee guy life. I mean, I've been learning, watching my reels.
I take Instagram away from you after that. I got to take Instagram away from you. So that was, okay. So your first grievance is essentially with yourself is what I'm hearing.
Yes. Well, I blame the product, but someone who used it
sounds
did
like
not
a
use
user
it correctly.
issue though.
It is, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll move on. Do we want to go to our second grievance or you want me to let me make it a little lighter in here?
Yes, let's make it lighter.
Okay, so we got our first listener love question.
We love that.
We love that. We love our listeners. And Kathleen P., she asked, can you talk about the experience of not clicking with your run coach? And I'm just going to make a little addendum. This could be also your personal trainer, right?
Yeah.
Why and how? Do you want to start, Nick, or do you want me to start?
I can start a little bit. So, I think a run coach, a personal trainer, a therapist, any of these relationships, right? It's a relationship, right? And so there is some back and forth, right? And so first things first, everyone doesn't get along with everyone, right? So like there are athletes I don't vibe well with and that we wouldn't work well with. And there are athletes that I get along really well with. And at the end of the day, I think it's communication, right? If first things first, like the coach sets the expectations for how the dynamic works, how much communication, like what the training looks like, how it's going to go. All those things are set early on, right? And those are on the coach to make sure they meet those, right? If you say you're going to text once a week, text once a week. If you're not doing your job as a coach, right? And on the flip side, if athletes need to communicate back, I mean, you need to. As an athlete, you need to communicate to your coach, right? Like you need to tell them what's going on, how the training's going, if things are good or bad. If you're not doing that, it's hard for the coach, right? So for starters, it's how just communicating between each other. If you aren't clicking because the coach isn't listening to the things you need, that's a problem. If, the coach is telling you to do things you're not comfortable doing, again, that's a problem. I would always say, talk to your coach first. And if they do not listen or have your back or understand, then, I think at some point, maybe it isn't the right relationship, right?
I'm listening to you because I think those are like foundational meshing. Do I mesh with my coach? Foundation, communication, the frequency, and the style, right? So there are some folks who need a different style of coaching. Some folks I know myself, I come from a loving and supportive but direct style of communication that does not work for everyone. that's okay. I think that the other thing that we have to talk about is how, not, if you're a coach and you're listening to this, if you're a personal trainer and you're listening to this, it's okay to not be for everyone, but
Yep.
there's some foundational things like Nick was sharing that are things we absolutely should be working on. We should be very clear how many times we're going to be communicating with our athlete, what the boundaries are, right? What days are off. If there are any days, for me, I have in 2 days that I really do my best to do no work. so to just
Those
share that with my
boundaries, yeah.
athletes, yeah, those are important boundaries. So it's communication style, personality, like Nick was saying. It's like a therapist. Like there are just some people who don't match, or like dating. I think a little more granular there are some coaches who are very, very focused on the metrics
Yep.
and measuring success based on, if you're at the gym, your weight or your BMI. They're putting their clients on scales often. Like for me personally, that would not work.
Hell no.
Hell to the no. And when in the running world, it's the same thing. There are some coaches who are more metrics focused versus I'm going to say more flexible, but yeah, having a more holistic approach to training and to sport.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people call themselves results oriented coaches, which, isn't, again, not for me. I'm not, the results will come. That doesn't need the emphasis of my relationship with my coach, right? But there are some people who that's what they need or want. So again, it's important early on to have that discovery call with your coach, and for both people to be honest, right? Like coaches, you're not here to, I know it's a business, but it's not about like securing every athlete, whether they fit for you or not, and not lying, but misleading on how act as a coach. And for athletes, it's not about like, oh, well, this coach, I want to work with this coach, so I'm just going to say what they want me to say, or what they want to hear. Be honest, right? If it doesn't mesh, it doesn't mesh. Go find another coach. Like do multiple discovery calls. That's not the worst thing. Like you're trying to find the right fit for yourself, because if the relationship works, it'll be amazing. Like you will both have a great time, you'll enjoy it, you'll be on the same page, and it will be a long lasting thing.
Yeah, I was thinking like you don't want to resent either party at the start of a relationship. That's never a good feeling. So, with you on that. Kathleen, that was such a good question.
We love that question. That's a good one.
Shout out to Kathleen.
Yes, shout out. So Amanda, I am still grieving with
Uh-oh.
grievances.
This is grievance number 2. Whoever's taking tally,
Yes.
please know that
Little
this is
grievance
grievance number
tracker up
2.
top. Yeah. For any of you who sort of listened to the Boston Marathon commentary yesterday, or just follow running or sports or fitness, right? That I got a little turned off with a lot of talk about
Turned off and
one.
turned up.
Yes, both, and a little annoyed. And so, like, it's just a lot of commentary around a professional athlete who ran through an injury and, made it worse, and ultimately, missed a lot of time. And so, a couple parts of this, right? Professional athletes, they need to do what they need to do. They have contracts, they have things that are well beyond. This isn't a rant about some professional athlete running through an injury, whether they knew it or not, right? Because they need to do what they need to do. This isn't discourse about that. It's discourse about how we as a society, the collective we of the running community, the fitness community, and how we encourage and root for and think it's toughness when someone runs through an injury, like an injury they know about, like, oh, I have a stress fracture, oh, I have a torn meniscus or whatever. I'm going to run through these things because I have to this race, or I have to achieve this. And then the collective we of the community is like, great job, like you ran through that injury, like way to go, like I can't believe it. And then the collective we, who maybe doesn't say it but thinks it of like weakness. If you're not going to run that race because your foot hurts, like what do you mean? Like it's Boston Marathon, like of course you'd run it. So they, we act like toughness is this idea that you need to like put your body through hell, that you need to hurt yourself even more,
Right. You get a
that
medal for misery type of thing.
yeah, and we're like, we're we're basically like we're encouraging recklessness, right? And so what happens is people see that. So like if everyone was encouraging people to take time off, people would take time off because the community support would be, oh yeah, taking time off, that's the right thing to do. Look how tough you were. You missed your goal race because you were hurt. Like you made the right choice for your life. Like that's amazing. That is toughness. You really wanted to run this race and you can't. But like we don't encourage that. So the community sees this reckless support of people, like of support of people being reckless, and then we encourage it. So what are people going to do? Oh well, I'm new to running, but it looks like when people have torn, muscles or tendons or whatever, they run through it. So I have to be that tough too because running's hard. So I'm going to run through that too.
Nah,
And look
Nick,
at all this
nah.
support I
That's that
get.
bullshit. No, we're
Yes.
not. We got to keep you seated. We're going to keep the muscle on the bone. Absolutely not.
Yeah. So, and so the commentary was a lot. And so the commentary a lot was just like support, like just encouraging how great that is, and like I just see tons of support around it, and it trickles down in this sport, in any sport, right, in any fitness world, it just trickles down to toughness is always doing something that is reckless almost, and we don't look at toughness as like making the right decisions for yourself because that's just as tough,
It perpetuates the myth, the popular fitness mantra, no pain, no gain. And that goes across sports, right? Like you're saying, at the gym, running. And if it's not painful, if it's not something you hate doing, if it's not painful, if you're not dying, you're doing it wrong. And
Yep.
if it's not punishing, you're doing it wrong. It just pushes that message instead of recognizing actually pain is a signal to your body, period.
Yep.
And it's not something to be pushed through or played with or hyped up. And I feel as though we are so beyond this in 2024, and yet we're not. It's such a shame that do you know who was, I did not watch the Boston Marathon broadcast. Were the folks who were broadcasting,
It was men and women.
men and women,
Yeah.
were they former professional athletes?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's fine. It's not, and it's just not like that. Just set me off to hearing it, right? And the broadcast wasn't great anyway. I should have listened to a different one. But then it just got me thinking about like how we as a community, the collective we, like how we just support and encourage this, and like it just then creates this idea that like that is what you're supposed to do because that's what people cheer for.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's that bullshit.
My favorite segment.
We need a do like we'll figure that out. Otherwise,
Yeah.
Nick offered to just make the sounds for the segments.
No,
Didn't you, Nick?
we're gonna need sound effects. I'm not gonna. Yeah,
You're not? Okay. All right. Well, that's that bullshit. I made that up.
we love it.
Is it time to head into the topic? I think so.
I think it is. It's topic time, and this is where we'd play another sound effect, but we don't have any, so send them in.
Who did I steal that from? Why is that sound in my head?
Oh my god, I don't even know.
Oh, it's Franklin. Did you watch? We're not together on that? No. The turtle? The turtle!
Yeah.
Somebody help me. Oh, no. I have a third grievance to express.
No.
Okay. All right. So, as Nick shared in the beginning, but in case you missed it, today we're going to talk about things we do in our fitness and wellness routine that would surprise you. And full disclosure, I got asked this question when I was interviewed on Michelle Pillpitch's podcast. Shout out to Michelle.
Shout out.
I really loved it so much that after the interview, I was like, Nick, we got to make this a topic. Like, this was so fun. And so here the hell we are. Here the hell we are. So I'm going to start and we're going to kind of just, shoot the shit, juggle back and forth. The things we are doing that may surprise you, may not.
Yeah.
So we'll start with Amanda, I don't stretch.
What?
You alerted the authorities. I do not stretch. And it's not because I don't stretch. Like it's not something I'm against stretching. No, I don't stretch. I before a run, I'll do my dynamic pre-run warm up every single time. I will always do it. And if I'm strength training, I'll do a little mobility before, but I mean, otherwise, my resistance training, according to me and what I've experienced slash science, that's been enough to improve my range of motion. Um,
Yeah.
and
I
no,
mean,
stretching does not prevent injuries, friends.
it does not. And I also maybe I'm not the best stretcher because I don't also stretch, but I do those leg swingies before every run, and
Sure do.
I will say that if I find a wall, I'll always do a little half-assed calf stretch because that fixes things,
Nice.
right? A wall is basically just a reason to stretch your calves, sort of half-half or you know
That's why it
haphazardly,
exists.
not really doing it right. But that's what keeps my calves tight because I'm not really doing it. So yeah, I'm not also a big stretcher, but I will use those massage gunnies, and I've
Me
constantly
too.
think about buying those Normatec boots because that's like stretching, even though
Oh,
it's
I
it's
mean,
not.
I am gonna send you the link that I got for an off brand that we have compression boots in this house.
Oh, okay.
They were on the wedding registry. It's an off brand, but they work just as well. I know because I've done both.
Yeah.
That's Amazon sponsor us.
Oh
Amazon
man,
sponsor
that's a
us.
big ask.
My shot.
Yep.
Shoot my shot. I should say this because it's important. If stretching feels good, like a massage,
Yeah.
feels good, not gonna yuck your yum.
No, I mean
Go for the stretch.
as long as it's post run, like don't do some static stretch before a run, and then
No,
it's
that's
not.
illegal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the run police will find you. They're real. But yeah, we sort of agree on this talking point. So what is something I do? So I this always kind of shocks people. I don't take splits ever in workouts. So this is running workouts, but like I don't ever take splits. So like say I get a workout that's like, okay, Nick, warm up for 2 miles and then do like 8 times 2 minutes on hard at like 5K effort, 2 minutes off, and then do a 15 minute or 2 mile cool down. I'll run 2 miles and then at that time, I'll try and get to a round number. I'll run 2 minutes. I'll look at my watch and I'll run 2 minutes hard and I won't auto lap. It won't auto lap. I don't program a workout into it. It won't beep at me if I'm running the right pace. In my mind, I will know the effort is 5K effort, and I'll just run hard and what
Mm-hmm.
I think I could do a 5K. And then after 2 minutes, I will jog easy for 2 minutes at whatever pace that is, and I'll do it 8 times. When I'm done, all I have is 6 mile, 7 mile run with mile splits that mean nothing because most of the mile splits are have a fast period and a slow period and a fast period. So I don't know. Like I have no clue like what this number is. I don't have, a pretty chart that I'm going to put like green and red dots next to show if I hit my paces. I subscribe to the idea that like effort matters, right? And so if I am putting out the right effort, that means I will finish a workout strong. I will finish. 99% of the time, I feel like when I finish that I feel strong, like that I put out the right effort, not that I'm dead because my numbers don't align.
So we're the same here too. I um I've actually never until I became a coach or I started to work with different kinds of people, I never even thought about it. Didn't cross my mind. I was like, no, I mean, I'm working hard for these 3 minutes
Yeah,
and I know that. My body knows that. The watch doesn't need to know that. Like I'll use it. I use it similar to you. I use it for time. And we subscribe to the same effort principle. So I co-sign this thing that you
yeah.
mentioned.
And so I grew up like track, like in college and
Right.
high school, where I'm living my life a quarter mile at a time, just like
Oh
they
my
do in
God.
Fast and Furious. And so I
Mm,
a little bit
I don't
different.
know. I don't know.
All right, well maybe. But I could like I'd be on a track and I'd run 100 meters and I would also be doing the math on like exactly what my 400 meter split, which is what my mile split is, whether I'm on pace or not, and like uh exhausted me. And more often than not,
So
like
tired.
that
I'm tired.
feedback is terrible. Like how often is feedback helpful for you when you're doing a workout or a race? Like, okay, you see a number and it's like, oh look, I'm running pace, but I'm more tired than I should be. This stinks. Oh, I'm not running effort. I have to run faster than this. This stinks. Oh, I'm running that fast. I'm definitely ruining my race. This stinks. Like the feedback is rarely like, oh wow, I'm running exactly on pace and I feel exactly how I think I should feel. This is the best day ever. Like that's so often not the case. And so like why
Hmm.
do we need that constant reassurance? Why do we need our Garmin watch beeping at us to tell us we're good or not? Like just run, because it's not about like when coaches give you workouts, a little inside secret here, and it says like, oh no, run your 3 minute rep at 6 minute pace, and you run at 6:02. We're not over here like you failed, your goals are lost, I'm not doing extra math with my calculations and my formulas, going, oh my god, their goals are gone. Let me readjust everything. I'm like, hey, that's awesome. It's
Right.
probably, it could be because you stopped your watch short. It could be because you slowed down at the very end of a 2 minute. Maybe you started late. Like, who knows? Doesn't matter. You ran up a hill. Like, we're not over here over
Right.
analyzing your splits. Like, if you're at 6:02 and it's supposed to be 6 minutes, we're like, that's awesome. You did great.
Right. Right. I'm with you. And then I also always go back to the athlete. I'm like, did that did that rep feel hard? Like, did it feel like the effort prescribed? Yeah, I felt like if you tried to talk to me, I couldn't get a word out. Great.
Yeah.
You nailed it. Congratulations. Let's move the fuck on.
And yeah, like I always like tell people like you should feel like you could finish and do one more rep. That's the right amount of effort work. Right? So you finish a workout and like maybe once in a blue moon I give one where it's like all out at the end, but I'll say it. But most of the
Hmm.
time, like if you finish, you should be able to do one more rep, and and then you're good. Walk off. You're done. You've done the work. You've done the work.
Yes. Absolutely. Oh, I love that. Um, I'll go. I've done the same strength training routine for like every week, unless I was ill or took a week off from strength training, but it's the same routine every week for for years. Like I'm probably after the pandemic. I was like these 6 to 8 exercises, they work and I don't need to complicate it further than this. I'm hitting the squat pattern, the hinge pattern, the lunge pattern. I got calf raises in there. I got carries. I mean, I just do basic ass shit all the time, and I change up. I like the same exercises, man. I've been doing split squats almost every week for almost 4 years.
Yeah, and like I think the idea is so many times coaches or athletes feel like it needs to be complicated. Like so many times, like if you have a coach and he's making something so complicated, run, because like it needs to be simple. Like sometimes when we as coaches or even as athletes we complicate things that don't need to be complicated. Like lift heavy, lift weights, lift heavy. Done. Like also use good form. Okay, maybe that's a little
Right.
aside there, but like outside of that, like there's not some special exercise or some special workout that we know that if you do this, you will run the best race of your life or you'll be in the best fitness of your life or whatever. Like we give you stuff because it's fun and it's different and it's variety. But like at the end of the day, our job is to keep it simple. And if you're on your own, your job is to keep it simple. It doesn't need to be complex.
Right. Right. And if you're working at the effort you're supposed to be, right? Because heavy is relative and you're progressively overloading it, you're taking rest days, then you're doing it right. You can play with so many different things that's why you work with a coach or a trainer. You can play with tempo. You can play with number of reps. You can play with number of sets. You can play with the amount you're loading the bar. So yeah, that was my I just feel like life is so, I mean, I was just listening to you talk about how back in the day you lived 1/4 mile at a time. You were so young, and I'm sitting here, I need a nap from hearing that. I need a nap. I can't exhaust myself into believing or gaslight myself into believing that changing up my workout routine makes sense. And also, like, and my body doesn't want to do that. There's no such thing as muscle confusion. So it's keep it simple,
Yep.
sweetie.
We love that. Let's see next for me. So I absolutely love my off days from running and exercise, and I literally never have any desire to run them. I'm not any desire to run on them. I'm not someone who wakes up on my Monday off day and goes, "Oh well, it's so nice out. I should definitely get a run in today." Or like, I just can't sit still. Like, if it's an off day and I don't have to lift either, I sit down in my chair and maybe on the couch and I watch TV and I do my work and then I don't do anything unless the kids are like, let's go do something exercising. But like, otherwise, it's just, I love my off days. I want to do nothing on them. I have no desire to do something, even if it's the best day of the week, weather wise. So, like, these are my sanctuary days. I feel like for most of my career, I've always had one day off at least a week. And because I've been so able to just do nothing and just relax and just enjoy it, I feel like it's always helped me stay fresh throughout my training cycle, as opposed to like, okay, well, it's an off day, but I got to do something. So I'll just do this Peloton hit workout, or I'll just, I'll go ride my bike for 120 miles because that's it's an off day.
Hashtag active recovery.
Hashtag active recovery. So, no, for me, it's off days are off days. Like, absolutely fully off. My mind is off of sport, and I am just enjoying life.
With you. And what you're saying to me tells me, as my relationship to exercise improved, my relationship to rest also improved. Like, this graph goes like this.
Ooh, we like graphs that do that.
Yeah, we don't have an image for that. So if you're watching, you're just going to have to close your eyes and use your imagination. I love off days too. I'm with you. I'll take the next one. I've never cold plunged.
What? You're not out there in winter making reels about cold plunging in negative 40-degree weather, getting frostbite to survive your fitness goals?
No, I find that if I need attention, I look to other ways. If I want to be seen and viewed on the gram or the Toctic, I don't need to jump in a cold tub with my shirtless man friends. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
But truly, all not jokes aside, I've just never, like, there's nothing in me that's like get uncomfortable in this way. I just feel as though throughout my week in my training, and even when I'm not training, I'm put in a lot of potentially uncomfortable positions that, like, I don't need to go in another uncomfortable position.
Yeah.
Like that. And I know that there was a study that came out about folks using cold water immersion around their marathon training or endurance. And it was like, if you want to blunt your neuromuscular adaptations, then definitely cold water, immerse yourself. So I feel like I got ahead of that by just not. I'm just not gonna do that.
Yeah, I may have done some ice baths like back in college, and they're miserable. And then I discovered, like, if I really care, I'll just do like an Epsom salt bath, even like just for my own mental, like, oh, I like hot, and there's some salt, and I'll have a margarita, and use the Epsom salt to rim the margarita and kill two birds with one stone, right? And then I'm just relaxing. But like, hot is better. Like, I'd rather be. I don't want to be freezing. So I'll. But at the end of the day, like, those Epsom salt baths are just sort of like, oh well, mentally they're great. There's no real science that they do anything. But if you like it, go for it, right? Like, hot water is not expensive, so go use it.
Definitely use it. I'm actually somebody, this is a bonus thing I don't do. Because I don't like it. I don't like Epsom salt. It doesn't feel good for me. but so many other people I know swear by how it feels for them. And again, it is not harmful, so
Yeah.
go for it. Salt
Yes.
Bay, go
Salt.
for it.
I sprinkle it in. Oh, we did the
That's what
same
they do,
thing.
right?
Yeah, that's what they do.
Oh, so
Um,
cute.
so cute.
Audio.
Yes. So no cold plunges. What's next? So for my fitness goals, and just your wellness routine, I absolutely love cooking. I love putting together balanced meals. I love just like my being in the kitchen and like crafting a meal is like my stress release from everything else. Like I'll be in there, the kids will be screaming and running around. I'll be like just in my world, like mixing the sauces and like making some dough. Every time I take it a little further too. Like first it was just I'll make tacos, and then it was now I'll make my own like flour tortillas, and then I'll like I'll make the next style. I'll make some cheese topping, and like it just never stops. Right? I'll make my own salsa to go with the taco. So it's fun. It's a lot of work, but like
Hours.
ish. But like if you once you get like if you get good at it and get a routine, like not
Oh, did you hear
hours.
that? Did you hear that, everyone? Did you just? I can see the shade from here. Once you get good at it, okay. I'll go next. Go ahead. Keep going. Keep going,
No,
Nicholas.
no, no. By good at it, I meant like just doing it more often, repetitions, right? Like then good is a relative term. If you just do something more often, it just becomes easier. And
Don't
I'm
do that.
just gonna
Not.
backtrack my way out of this thing. Hear the bus beeping up.
So this is, I'll hijack a little bit of what you just said. So this is I would say the first area where we are different, but this is not a disagreement. This is just, we are different. I do not enjoy the process of pairing a creative meal, because everything you shared with all of us here at Between Two Coaches was that you are an artist in the kitchen, and I am not. And it's okay, because one thing about me is I'm really good at seasoning.
Yeah.
I can Parmesan the shit out of a cheese tortellini.
Oh man, everything needs more parm. Just grate it on top.
I'm good in those areas, but I also have a lot of my week I am purchasing. When I go to Trader Joe's once a week for my week, my freezer is just stocked with pre-made food. I eat a ton of frozen meals, and it works for me.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with a frozen meal, because I don't go hungry because I'm eating, and that is the most important thing.
Yes, as long as you're eating. It's just for me it's like an enjoyment thing, right? It's like peaceful and like, I like the process. And every time like, I got one of those uni pizza ovens, and so then I had to obviously make my own dough, and it's like I go too far with everything. But at the same
Yes,
time,
we learned about in the first grievance today.
yeah, but I do enjoy it. So it's okay until I don't, and then I don't do it.
We're gonna move on from your joy. We're gonna move on from your joy and go into maybe a controversial pain for me. I don't like, I don't love, I should say, I don't love races. That's my next thing that in fitness or running that may surprise people. I don't like the racing environment. I don't like how much, and it's because it gives me a lot of anxiety. The amount of people potentially, especially for a world's major or a larger field. I don't like the expo.
No, I don't want to go to it. Just give me my bib. Like hand me at the door.
If you're watching this, you just saw Nick take his Olipop and remove it from his mouth to say no. Absolutely not. The expo. I don't like the expo. I don't like the logistics the morning of. I don't like I am very good at sleeping. I'm very good at sleeping the night before, and just in general, I'm good at sleeping. It's probably all of my not cold plunging. But I still have anxiety about sleeping. Why am I having anxiety about sleeping the day before one day? I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So, what else don't I like about it? How far they make you walk after you're done.
It's the longest running
I
finish shoot
also
ever.
don't like that they. Oh, now I'm going on one. I also don't like that the post race, there may be a term for this, but the post race like recovery bag, I mean, there isn't enough protein in here, carbs. Like I this is not it. This is not it. I feel some type of way. I don't want a Fuji apple at the end of my 4 miler.
Which
That
was a Honey
is the
Crisp.
dumbest apple. The
Yeah.
dumbest apple. You think so?
You gotta no, you
What?
gotta get a Honey Crisp. If that then
It has to be a Honey
then
Crisp.
we're okay.
Yeah, right.
But
And
race
it
fees
should,
are going up.
honestly, the amount that we pay for races, like we should get a Honey Crisp.
Yeah. And one of those good ones, not one of those with the hidden bruises underneath the little label.
Oh my god, always gets
Every
me.
time they know.
Always gets me. You have to look around the entire apple, and even then,
Yep.
I get got.
Like every time. So no, you're right on. But so you're describing in some degree big world major like New York City races, right? Like you can go to a small town race, like you did Wine Glass, like you just sort of I know it's out in the middle of nowhere, but like if it wasn't a city and it was Wine Glass, you could sort of just walk out of your hotel, walk to the starting line. Like I'll give you Richmond as an example. Like I did Richmond a few years ago. You could stay at a hotel that's 1 block away. Actually, you could stay outside the race. You could walk out of your hotel, walk to the starting line. There's a tiny little gate, but they're like, go right in. And like, you just walk in, you stand there and like, you're in. Like, it's not like New York City where we have to like be bussed some ancient island, dinosaur island or whatever.
And 4 modes of transportation.
And then you're sitting there for 4 hours because you left at 3 a.m. and you're eating breakfast, lunch, dinner. And then you're like, okay, you can start now. Like, so those are a little stressful world majors, especially as you get in the later waves, But
yes.
But there's small town races, like, I can go to Baltimore and I can just walk on to a race and I'm there and we're starting. And like that alleviates some of that. I think the other part
Totally
is, me coming from a very competitive background, like when I ran in high school and then college, it was about racing people. Like a race was a race. Like we raced to win. Someone won the race, someone got second, and someone unfortunately got last. And like that was a race.
Otherwise known as a loser.
DFL. But so, and then I gained, and then I took a lot of time off, came back and entered road racing. And for me, it's still like there was some competitiveness to racing. So like I've always gone into races, like I'm actually racing people, not a clock, when I'm at my fittest. Right. So for me, like that was extra anxiety around the race environment, but I also enjoyed it. Like it was fun to like do your best and chase people, and every person in the race is like competition. But I could see how on the flip side, that's, anxiety ridden for a lot of people. So
Yes. And I agree with you. And I think that's why I've committed to putting myself in as many small races as possible. So that is wonderful for me. I'm doing the right thing for me. Big crowds also, but that's like a personal thing. I really, and this is coming to you live from New York City. You don't like big crowds? You heard me. Okay. I said what I said. I am who I am. Deal with it.
Yeah. And so like, but like, I mean, like it's as you're in the later waves too, like it's hard. Like Boston's a great example yesterday. Like if you were a professional, you started the race and finished it and the weather was pretty great. If you're in wave 1, you maybe survived, some did not. And then if you're wave 4, it's like, good luck. It's 70 degrees out when you're starting and it's only getting worse. And so like you're sitting around a lot and your race is different than 3/4 of the race. Like, of the people had different weather than you because you have to start so late. So sometimes world majors or just these big races, just like not Chicago does it right, but outside of
Agreed.
Chicago, some of the others, like you're starting so late. Like New York City, people start at like 12, like maybe even later.
They're running into the darkness. It is so unmotivating. I mean, we're gonna have a whole thing about.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know that
yeah.
there'll be a separate pod about that.
But yes, race environment. What do I
Do we
got?
have time for one more?
I think we do. So what do I got? I got I love coming from running in high school and college and then joining a running group on my second tour of running. Like I love a group run. Like any easy run will fly by. I'll go twice as fast with others. I will talk the entire time with someone. I don't even know them and it will fly by. But I hate doing workouts with others because I feel like it's so hard. Like it's this weird idea. Like if I do an easy run with someone and it's like 10 miles or 8 miles or whatever, it will be over in no time and I will have 50 topics I still wanted to talk about with someone. If I do a long run and there's no pace work, like again, 16 miles will fly by and I'll be like, I still have like 30 things. I'll end up texting the person after the run and be like, oh, these things I wanted to tell you. We didn't make it to it. But then if I do a workout with someone, like doing a workout sometimes with someone else for me is like anxiety ridden because like it feels like we're both sort of we're never aligned and like I'm trying to run someone else's pace or just feels harder running with someone else. So like I've never gotten the extra benefit from like doing a workout with someone else at my paces. Like I'll run with my athletes, I'll do workouts with them and help them, but like my own workouts, group oriented workouts always felt harder for me because of my own insecurities with my paces, I guess, or running the workout. But group runs,
Nah, I don't think that's it. I don't think it's your insecurities. It's like you're not a rocket, Nick. No one is expecting you to be synchronized with that to me, and I guess that comes from me being so not coming from the same background as you with running. That is so when you're I'm like that is so ridiculous.
yeah.
I mean, come on. It's like, but that's what it is. It's the expectation that Nick's putting on Nick in that workout. But I think it has to do with your insecurities. I
No,
think that
maybe
there's
not.
just too much weight.
That probably is the wrong word, but I do know a lot of. And flip side, I know a lot of people who won't do group runs because it's intimidating to like run in a group. Will they
Yeah.
be dropped? Are they going to run like, all pace is welcomed, and then they get there and it's like, haha, we meant 8 minute pace
The
only.
slowest is 10 minutes.
And
Yeah, it's like ridiculous.
so like that's like people don't understand that you want to start a run club, you want to start a group run. Like there's a giant expectation there that if anyone joins, either you tell them sorry, this is the pace we run, and you're very clear about it, or if you invite everyone to come and you call it all comers and you're the leader and no one wants to run 11-minute pace, you're going to run 11-minute pace, like because you need to take care of everyone in that run. You need to make people feel welcomed, and people don't do that. So like I understand a lot of people have intimidating feelings around group runs and just don't do them.
Yes. I think that everything you said to me makes sense. I am somebody who prefers to run by myself, but I think I've unpacked that enough to I know why. It's because I spend so much time with people all
Yeah.
day. I'm just teaching hundreds of humans every day. I just need a little time by myself or talking to my mother that's our catch up time. She actually, one quick thing. I just alerted her to the fact she didn't know how often I ran a week. She thought I was doing like one long run a week because for a couple weeks I was only calling her on my long run day, and I try to call her twice a week. She goes, "Oh, I thought you're just running one time a week." I'm like, "For 14 miles, one time a week? What do you?" And I realized, I'm like, "What? Why did I think she would think anything else?" I'm like, "You know what? We're gonna leave this here, Ma. We're gonna leave this here." What do you do when you don't call me on a run? I'm quiet
Yeah.
with myself because I need it.
My thoughts and my dreams and my insecurities, they're all ruminating.
Truly.
Well, did we do it?
I think we did it.
We did it. We love it. You want to wrap this thing up, Amanda?
With a bow and a ribbon and a piece of scotch tape. We want to say thank you for being here, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you didn't, you don't have to tell us. But if you want to, I guess you can. So you can reach out to us at any time via the DM. We have our Instagrams in the show notes,
Yep.
or via email between two, that's TWO coaches at gmail.com. And I guess we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining. Bye, everyone.